Good afternoon. Welcome back to Gooner Fanzine TV. We're at Selhurst Park after Arsenal's hard-fought 1-1 draw with Crystal Palace on Saturday lunchtime. And with Dan, the man who's come from Mikel Arteta's press conference, and so have I in my position as Arsenal correspondent for Varvel. Dan's obviously there in his position as Arsenal correspondent for the Isn't It Gazette. But we're just going to have a quick chat about Arteta's press conference and the game, really. So what was your take on Arteta to start with?
Well, I think he kind of felt, as we all did, he was pleased with the first half. They were really good in the first half, the way they moved the ball around. Obviously, the build-up for the goal was brilliant. There's a 19-pass move with 8 players involved. So, yeah, kind of really what he wants in terms of the way that Arsenal should play football. He was disappointed after the break. He said that, we knew Palace were going to push forward and that we were going to try and get a goal back. Exactly what happened. Arsenal didn't really deal with it, and then after the red card, obviously it's got a bit difficult. I'm sure we'll come on to that. But he was really pleased with the way they reacted after the red card in terms of the spirit they showed to stick it out and earn that point. So, yeah, he was pleased, but, a bit disappointed with the second half. So. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, what I took away from Arteta's presser today was the fact he was obviously asked about the red card and his views on that as well. You were there, obviously, as well. And he just used the word nasty. It was we all saw Arteta's challenge, and we have conversations on Twitter and between ourselves and in the press box as well. And my thing was basically that it was a yellow. It was obviously you got the yellow card first of all, which was wrong. In terms of VAR turning over for a red card, basically. A few people on Twitter said, well, it should have been a red card or whatever. But my reaction was, my instinctive reaction is basically, switch it round to an Arsenal player. If an Arsenal player had been on the receiving end of that challenge, it would have been a straight red card all day long. Yeah. So, Arteta was obviously asked about that. And to be honest, he said, it was a nasty challenge. Well, what did you think about it? As soon as I saw obviously the position I'm sat in, the way the press box is at Selhurst Park, you can't really see that near touchline. Yeah. As soon as I saw the replay, I knew it was going to be a red card. It was a shocking challenge. It was a striker's challenge, wasn't he? Yeah. He timed it really poorly and was obviously quite high up above the ankle. But, yeah, I completely agree with Arteta. It was a nasty challenge. Quite interesting, though, on BT Sport afterwards, he said he didn't see it, despite being a yard away. He changed his tune. But
he said that before he came to the press conference, didn't he, with journalists, basically.
But, not a great challenge, and I'm a bit disappointed in Aubameyang in a way, because, it's a challenge he didn't need to make. It was on the halfway line. As a captain of the team, you should be looking at it and saying, well, I've let the team down there, basically, because if he was on the pitch, Arsenal had a better chance of winning the game. Yeah. So let the side down, really, and obviously, not a great challenge. Yeah, absolutely. And obviously, we were at Roy Hodgson's press conference as well. Yeah. He was very magnanimous about it, and he basically said, Max Meyer's fine, the 24-year-old former Schalke player. Could have broken his ankle, but didn't. Thankfully, he moves on, and everyone can sort of move on as well, basically. But obviously, Aubameyang's got a 3-match ban now, which will take in Sheffield United next Saturday, Chelsea at Stamford Bridge the Tuesday after, Bournemouth away in the FA Cup, potentially might not have played in that, but 2 massive games in the Premier League. What's your take on that, Dan? Well, the Chelsea one's obviously the big one. If you look at who's scored away from home for Arsenal, Aubameyang's now got 9 goals. And I think 3 other players have got 1 each. So they've basically lost their entire goal supply away from home, which is obviously a massive concern, especially against Chelsea. Obviously, big London derby rivals. But if you look at the table, if Arsenal win that game, there is a chance they can get in the top 4, claw that gap back. Yeah. Massive loss. As you say, probably wouldn't play in the FA Cup. Sheffield United at home isn't an easy game either as well. Look at the way they're doing, 5th in the table. Absolutely. Fantastic season. So, massive loss. And as I say, as a captain, should be doing better there. Yeah, absolutely. You're right. We were both at the Sheffield United game when Arsenal lost 1-0 in October at Bramall Lane, and that was a really poor performance from memory. But there were tough sides to play against, and it'll be a massive loss against Aubameyang, with Aubameyang missing next week, basically. But you're absolutely right in terms of his 9 goals. I think they came from 12 shots away from home, which is ridiculous, that really. So he's a massive loss, basically. Another player who was potentially missed at stages in the second half was Lucas Torreira. Obviously, Arteta was asked about that. He said it was a muscle injury, didn't he? It was just going to be assessed. But what did you feel Arsenal dipped a bit with? Definitely. I think what Torreira provides in terms of the cover and the protection he gives, and the way he helps Arsenal control the game alongside Granit Xhaka, irreplaceable. We saw Guendouzi come on. They lost control of the game completely. Obviously, it was going to change in terms of Palace pushing on more. But yeah, completely and utterly lost control of the game.
Yeah, absolutely. Just in terms of the atmosphere, everyone talks about Palace being a really good good atmosphere. It was good today for a Saturday lunchtime, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was decent. Yeah, nice and noisy. So
yeah, absolutely. And I've got to ask. Obviously, I've been coming to Palace since Selhurst Park since 1986. I watched Arsenal play Charlton Athletic here as a kid. This ground has changed. Not that much, not that much over the last sort of 33 years, really, which is good in a way because it makes it an evocative, sort of passionate, old archetypal English stadium. But at the same time, the press box is not particularly salubrious, and you were sitting in a particular space in the corner, weren't you?
To be honest, I'm sorry to slag off Palace in this way, but that is the worst press box I've ever sat in. I could not. Mate,
there's a few worse than that, to be fair.
I could not see a thing. Obviously, being on the back row as well, you've got a row of people in front of you, and then there's posts all the way down. I had one post that was directly in front of the goal. I couldn't see the goal at that far end because the post was directly in front of it. I spent most of the game standing up. Couldn't see either touchline, basically. Whenever the ball went in the air, I had no idea what was happening. So, yeah, it was an interesting one to watch. My little screen for replays wasn't working either, which made it even more difficult. So, yeah, entertaining afternoon for me.
Absolutely. I must admit, I was up on my sort of seat in the press box as well, trying to get a view on the sort of reaction after Arteta's yellow card to start with and then obviously red. But, it's not the best views up there. But
craning your neck would be the go-to thing.
Absolutely. And there was another sort of moment of light relief as well during Roy Hodgson's press conference at the end. I must admit, I love Roy Hodgson. I think he's a very experienced, wily, interesting character who's got a bigger take than just football itself.
Very much tainted by the England job, wasn't he?
Well, yeah,
the views of him were kind of tainted by that. But
for me, I thought he did quite a good job for the England job. I mean, how many managers actually do well for England, to be fair? But just as a character, as a very dignified football man, I love him. I think he always answers the question honestly. Yeah. But what was funny at the end today was a journalist asked Roy Hodgson from a Palace point of view whether former Arsenal target Wilfried Zaha would be going to Bayern Munich, and what was Roy Hodgson's response? It was quite funny, wasn't it?
He basically, I couldn't quite hear what he said because I sat at the back of the room, but he basically said to ask someone else. Yeah, well, he said he was going to talk to Karl-Heinz Rummenigge, basically, which is the old former West German centre forward, basically, because he said he goes, Karl-Heinz, I'll call Karl-Heinz. He's at Bayern. Yeah. And if he says yes, then I'll answer your question. That's what he said, and it brought a cheer, basically, on a slightly disappointing day for Arsenal. I think he also said, we'd be mad to loan our best player mid-season. I completely agree with him. Obviously, Zaha is their best player by a mile. Yeah. Wasn't great today for me, but quite a funny moment, to be fair.
Yeah, absolutely.
I quite liked it when he first sat down as well. No one asked a question. He just... Are you not entertained?
Absolutely, yeah. He's a very interesting bloke, and Palace fought well today, didn't they? I thought they did really well. So, but then Arsenal, I thought Arsenal opened the game really well, and Arteta said that as well, didn't they? The first sort of 20 minutes, half an hour, I think it was 87% possession from Arsenal. Yeah. So, they did start well.
Completely dominant in that first 25 minutes, weren't they? And the way they were knocking the ball around was really good. But the thing that impressed me most was when they lost it. There was 2 or 3 of them trying to get it back every time. Yeah. Positionally and structurally, they were exactly where they should have been. You can see, even in the short space of time that Arteta's been there, that he's introduced that. There's organisation there now, basically. They don't have the one moment that cost them where they switched off. I'm sure we'll come on to that because Arteta spoke quite a bit about that. But that's the thing I've been most impressed by. Not the way that they're playing football, but in terms of what they do without the ball and the structure and the organisation. It's so much better, and it's what was needed, basically.
Yeah, there was a point that it sort of just highlighted or underlined the Arteta era was just the fact that when Mesut Ozil was substituted, he ran off the pitch. When did you ever see that?
Well, I mean, look at what happened to him in the last game before Mikel Arteta took over. Obviously, it was against Man City, wasn't it? He got subbed off and he strolled off.
Yeah, exactly.
Got booed. Yeah. All of a sudden on a Granit Xhaka incident. But today he sprinted off. So much better to see. The attitude from everyone is so much better, which is really good to see.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a word about the players going over to the fans en masse to sort of applaud them and acknowledge their efforts in supporting Arsenal in an away match. That was good to see, wasn't it?
Well, it seems like that's something that Arteta's kind of drilled into them. You go over to the away fans and you applaud. It's the way it should be, to be fair.
Yeah.
We've seen in games, one springs to mind last season, I think it was Newcastle away, where Rob Holding came over and clapped the fans when everyone went down the tunnel. It's not good enough, basically.
Yeah.
But Arteta seems to want that and has drilled it into them. So, really positive to see. And that connection between players and supporters has improved and it was needed.
Absolutely. And just your own view as well. Was that a point gained or 2 points lost today for Arsenal?
If you'd have asked me that before the red card, I would have said 2 points lost. But after the red card, I think 2 points gained.
Yeah. A point gained.
What, you know what I mean? I mean, in terms of before the red card, the goal was really disappointing. Arteta mentioned it about, you can't switch off in this league because it cost you, and it did today. Short free kick, no one really was awake to what was happening.
Yeah.
Obviously, a bit of an unlucky deflection, but it was moments like that can change games basically. But yeah, the way they were after the red card was really good to see. I think if that had been under Emery, I think we would have just seen them roll over, wouldn't we?
Yeah,
It would
yeah.
Probably been 2-1, 3-1, whatever. But they battled and they showed grit. The way Socrates got back to cut one off the line was really impressive. Didn't think he was going to make it, but yeah, the grit and the spirit is so much greater than it has been all season, basically. And it can be the difference between taking something from a game in terms of winning or getting a draw or whatever.
Yeah.
And it is really important. I don't think enough kind of emphasis is put on that. Obviously, Arteta has put a lot of emphasis on it, which is really good.
Yeah, absolutely. You've heard Dan's take from Mikel Arteta's press conference. You've heard my take from Mikel Arteta's press conference as well. We want to know what you think. Was it a point gain or was it 2 point loss today for Arsenal? Like, comment, share. We want to hear what you think as well. And thanks for watching. Cheers.